Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. Today we're here with a new mentee, Connor. Connor, welcome. Um, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and maybe your background, how long you've been programming, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. I'm based out of Dublin, Ireland. I work for a company that makes software for kind of like workflow automation software, kind of like Zapier or Workato, if you're familiar with those kind of products. But it's kind of focused more in the security space. Um, I guess I first time I ever programmed was in 2011 in college, and yeah, been going ever since.
Okay. Um, and is there anything specific you were hoping to talk about, or did you have a project you wanted to work on, or anything like that?
No particular project to bring up. I guess I'm just kind of here to kind of maybe absorb some of the expertise you folks have, and yeah, there was nothing really in particular on top of my mind, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Um, what I've been doing with some mentees is like we do some live coding on just some project. And I don't want to put you on the spot and like suggest that we do that this time, but like maybe next time, if you like, we could do a project where you're doing the coding and I'm kind of serving as the navigator, to use the pair programming terminology. So that's something we could do next time. Um, as far as this time goes, um, maybe how about this, Connor? Um, I could do some coding on a certain project that I've been working on for a while, and you can feel free to ask me questions as we go, and we can kind of start that way and see how it feels.
Yeah, sure, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, let me just prepare a thing or two on my machine real quick. Okay, and I will share my screen in a second. Okay, I'll share now. Okay, so I'm going to get in the right directory. Um, so this is a product called SaturnCI, which I've worked on in a number of sessions before. Would you happen to have seen any of the prior sessions, Connor, where I worked on this product of mine?
I have not, unfortunately.
Okay. That's fine. I'll kind of explain things as I go. Jedi, you've seen this before, right?
Yes.
Andrew, how about you?
I have not.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I'll kind of explain things as I go. Um, let me get a couple other things going. Okay. And by the way, Connor, how did you find out about this mentorship program?
I think I've been following you on Twitter for I'm not sure how long, but I just think I saw a random tweet from yourself advertising it. So I think I threw my name into the hat about a month ago or
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
Then yeah,
Okay. Let's see. I started Docker, but I didn't start my Rails server, so let me do that. Okay. So are you familiar, Connor, with continuous integration and continuous integration platforms?
yep,
Okay.
sure am.
Yeah, so like if you've used CircleCI or GitHub Actions, this product is intended to be kind of a competitor to those.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah.
I find the UIs for GitHub Actions and CircleCI to be contemptibly poor, and so I wanted to create something that had a better UI. And right now, I kind of have it working. It can run a test suite, but it takes too long. Um, my test suite takes like it's parallelized, so there's two parallel runs. One of them takes like 20 seconds and the other takes like less than 14 seconds for this particular run. So it takes like 20 seconds, but the whole thing took like 5 minutes to run. And that's longer than I want. So what I've been working on for the last little bit is some caching. When this test run runs, it does a Docker build, because if we're going to run somebody's test suite, we have to have their test environment. And so the way that we achieve that is that we Dockerize their test environment and then recreate it using Docker. So let me see where I left off. I usually try to leave some kind of loose end hanging, but I didn't do that last time. So let me show my most recent commit here. Okay, try to get caching working. And I removed this certain line here, and I added this line to my script. Yeah, and I remember what happened. I remember that I did a git push, which triggers a build. And when I did so, my caching didn't work. Everything still took just as long as it did before. And so that what that made me realize is that I don't understand how this caching mechanism works that I was trying to use. So let's take a closer look. So this is the script that runs when one of these jobs runs. There's more to it. There's a little over 100 lines, but this little chunk here has to do with the Docker stuff and the caching. So first we're saying Docker pull registry, blah, blah, blah. This is my URL for the registry where I keep my Docker images. And I'm wrestling with how much I want to try to explain and how much detail I want to go into. How familiar are you, Connor, with Docker?
Um, Not very, to be honest.
Okay.
Use it here and there. Like we use it at work, but there's like a whole team that kind of work on that kind of stuff. I just kind of get to benefit off their work, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'll explain a little bit about Docker. I actually had kind of a whole session, 1 or 2 sessions ago, where I talked about Docker a lot. So I'll try not to completely repeat that, but it took me a really long time to understand Docker. Finally, what made it click for me is that Docker is for um, helping install and run dependencies for environments. And you can either Dockerize a production environment or a development environment, or I suppose a test environment, but that's just kind of the same thing as a development environment. So in Dockerizing this test environment, we'll say, we specify certain dependencies where we say, this environment depends on Postgres. So we say, go grab this Postgres image from a certain place and install and run Postgres. And we say, go get Redis, install and run Redis. So it's better to have this config file that just specifies all our dependencies so we don't have to manually install and run these things. And then in this case, for this test environment, it happens to also download and install Chrome. And in addition to those kind of off-the-shelf dependencies, we also have the application that's being tested. And so when we do a Docker build, it does things like, let's see if we can just do it right now. I'm waiting to see if it does the thing that I expect it to do or not. It may install my app's gems. That's the main thing that is the time taker upper, is installing the gems for the project. Yeah, now it's installing the gems. And this is time consuming, and the gems don't always change from build to build. Like for the vast majority of builds, they're going to be the same as the one before it. And so it's wasteful to do this every time. So I want to cache this step. So it installs the gem once and then just grabs from the cache every time unless something changes. But if everything stays the same, no need to do another bundle install, just grab from the cache. So what's happening right now on my local machine happens every time we run a build on SaturnCI. So what I'm trying to figure out, which I don't have figured out yet, is how can I cache this step? Okay, and if this behaves the way it did before, when I run this again, it'll be almost instantaneous, but let's see if that's actually the case or not. Yeah, see, that ran just now, and it takes 1.3 seconds. Running again, 1.4 seconds. And on SaturnCI, if I look at the metrics, it takes 96 seconds. And it would be nice if it took, something more like 1.5 seconds, like what's happening locally here. By the way, I do want to look at a few older ones just for a comparison. Okay, 112 seconds, 121, 124, 116. It's interesting that it's now 96. That seems actually like kind of significantly less. 76, 130. Hmm. And I wonder if that's just random chance or if something is actually happening. Well, in any case, I don't know why it takes that amount of time and not like just 1.5 seconds like it does locally. Let's look at something here. This is kind of dumb. Oh, yeah, this is like dumb. I'm doing my Docker build and then I'm doing a second Docker build. That doesn't make any sense. Also, this line is way too long and I can't read the whole thing. So let's maybe fix that. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm just doing the same thing twice, but the second time I'm doing it uncached. Okay, so let's see if anything happens when I do that. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have ngrok running so my webhooks get caught. Remove extra build command. Okay, I just did a push. That should be getting caught by ngrok, and a new build should be getting kicked off. Indeed, it is. So I'm going to set the timer on my phone. Oh, and the light coming through the window is having a really weird effect on my face. It's kind of creepy. Sorry for my appearance. I'm gonna set my timer for like 5 minutes because that's how long it's taken in the past, and we will check on that. But hopefully it doesn't even take 5 minutes. It would be nice if this caching is just working right now and it takes like 3 minutes instead. Okay. I'm gonna pause here, partly because we're just waiting right now, and partly because I've been talking a lot and we went over a lot in the last few minutes. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything like that? No? Yeah. Um, how to fill the time while we're waiting. Hmm. I
I don't
don't.
know. Would it be worth
Yeah.
maybe just recapping aloud maybe what you're doing here? Is it like you're taking advantage of Docker's layer caching here and you're spinning out the layer where you install all the gems into your private container registry in DigitalOcean,
Good
and you
question.
just can't. Yeah,
Yeah, good question. To be honest, I don't really understand um Docker image layers like really at all. So maybe let's look into that. Tell me about Docker image layers. What I am doing is taking the built image file and sending that up to a Docker registry and then hopefully using that on subsequent runs. But I don't know anything about the layers. Docker images are composed of layers to optimize storage, speed up image transfer, and enhance reuse across different containers. Each layer represents a set of file changes or instructions in the image's Docker file. When you build a Docker image, each instruction creates a new layer. Base layer, dependency layers, application layers. Okay, I think maybe I understand the base layer. Sorry, that's not it. So here in this Docker file, we're using Ruby 3.1.2. Um, let me see if that's, I think, so that's the base image, but I don't know if the base image and the base layer are the same thing. Ruby 3.1.2. See what it says about that. I'm gonna refresh here just to see if anything's different. It's not. Welcome, Henry. Okay, yes, in the context of Docker images. Okay. Slightly different concepts. Okay, the base image is comprised of one or more layers itself. Okay. So what about the dependency layers? Oh, add libraries, tools, blah, blah, blah. Application layers. Okay, I don't completely understand. Tell me about dependency layers and application layers. Okay, so running bundle install creates a dependency layer. So does yarn. Oh, application layer is like my code and stuff. That makes sense. Okay. Oh, my timer just went off. So it's been 5 minutes. Okay, it passed and it still took like 5 minutes. And the build took like 97 seconds. Last time it took 96. Okay. And I'm actually going to try something. I'm going to take away the caching and I'm going to see if the time goes back up. Okay, so I'm going to not. I'm going to comment that line and that line. I'm going to see if the time goes back up. Okay, so this build has started. I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes again. Because what I'm realizing is this. I'm caching this, but I'm not doing anything to cache Postgres or Redis or Chrome. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to say, here's my Docker compose file. Um, and here is my script. There's my Docker compose file and the script that my CI platform runs when it does a test run. And actually, I should uncomment these two lines when I show it to ChatGPT so it doesn't get confused. As you can see, I'm caching my Saturn test app service, or at least trying to, but I'm not caching any of the other services. How can I do this? What I don't understand is if I pull these images, if I pull the image for Postgres, for example, okay. If I pull the image for Postgres, for example, won't that just have to sit somewhere on DigitalOcean and then I'll have to pull it anew for each build, meaning no time gets saved? Oh, caching gems with Docker multi-stage build. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't believe this will work because this is for well, hang on a second. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I think this is for local caching. Um, like caching the images on your local machine, but that solution is unfortunately no good for us because a fresh virtual machine gets created for each build in SaturnCI. So nothing can be cached locally, it has to be cached remotely somewhere. Okay, it might be done by now. Error. Unauthorized. Okay. Hmm. That's kind of surprising because it worked before, or at least it apparently worked before, but now it's not working here. Well, this line is not needed anyway. So let's try this. Okay, now I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes again. Our systems have detected unusual activity from your system. Okay. Yeah, you're right in recognizing that pulling an image like Postgres to a runner or build machine hosted on a platform like DigitalOcean does mean the image needs to be stored somewhere on that platform. If you pull the image fresh for each build, welcome Hassan. And if each build runs completely on a completely new ephemeral instance, then you're correct. Simply pulling the image doesn't inherently save time. Okay. Persist runner instances. Hmm. That's an interesting idea. I can conceive of a scenario where the images actually have Postgres baked in, for example. I think ChatGPT thinks I'm using a CI service rather than building one. I'm not using a CI service. I'm building one as a new product. See what it says to that. Shared volume for Docker images. Hmm, that seems interesting. Okay, I see several options here. Gave me several options. Which one do you recommend? Um, ask me questions in order to give me a better answer. Okay, number one, let's say small team, Monoliths, not sure why that's relevant. Infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. Digital ocean, I'll say. Budget, keep budget as small as possible. Timeline, unlimited. Technical expertise, unlimited technical expertise available. Compliance and security, no special needs. Centralized Docker cache. Okay. This is just more options. I wanted it to give me one single answer. I asked for one single answer. It seems like you just gave me more options. Okay. Give me some high level steps for implementing this solution. How much time do we have left in our build? Oh, 1 second. Okay. Same error. That's interesting. Okay, and it may be that I should be going about this in a completely different way anyway. I don't know why I wasn't doing this stuff on a different branch. Okay, let me do this. New main, old main. Okay, there, I just got rid of the last several commits. Okay, I'm gonna set my timer again. And for about the bazillionth time, I'm gonna start over with my Docker caching strategy. Okay. Implementing a centralized Docker cache using a DigitalOcean droplet as a registry proxy. Okay. Set up a DigitalOcean droplet. I don't really understand what a Docker registry cache is. I think I might ask it about this. What exactly do you mean by that? Intermediate storage cache for Docker images and layers. Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna ask that. Why use a DigitalOcean droplet? Okay. Okay, what is DigitalOcean's file storage called? DigitalOcean Spaces. Okay. For the Docker caching, image caching, why not use DigitalOcean Spaces instead of droplets? Hmm. Okay. Okay, I guess I buy this. So how does it say to do it? The droplet is configured with Docker registry software running in proxy mode. Don't know what that means. This configuration enables it to cache Docker images and layers locally. Okay. When a Docker client requests an image, the cache first checks if it has the requested image or layer locally. If it does, it serves it directly, bypassing the need to download it from the public registry, which saves time and bandwidth. Okay. As a proxy, in addition to acting as a cache, the droplet also proxies any requests for images it doesn't currently have in its cache to Docker Hub. It then caches those images for future requests. Okay. Okay. Provision a droplet on DigitalOcean. Okay. Install Docker and set up the Docker registry. Okay. Run a Docker registry container configured to act as a pull-through cache. This setup involves modifying the registry's configuration to cache images from Docker Hub or another registry. Configure TLS SSL certificates. Okay. Direct Docker clients to use the cache. Okay. Monitor and maintain the cache. Okay. Okay, that all seems doable. So let's get started. Help me with this first step of the plan. Oh, there, my timer's going off. Let's see if this build is finished. It is, and it passed. Okay. And it happened to take less than 4 minutes, but I think that's just pure luck. Wow. The image build only took 57 seconds. I think it just varies a lot, though. Okay. So help me do this in an automated way. I'm trying to save on infrastructure costs. So I want to be able to easily provision droplets and then destroy them at the end of my working session, then conveniently recreate them at the beginning of the next session. I'll give it an example of how I'm currently provisioning an image. This is not it. This is it. Here's an example of how I'm provisioning a droplet right now in case it helps. Okay. Hmm. A snapshot, creating a snapshot sounds like too much manual work. I'll just tell it that much and see what it does with that information. What does it say for the first step? Automate droplet creation. Continue using your current script. No, I don't want to do that because my script is not suited for that. My current script is not suited for creating a droplet to be used as a Docker. What did they call it? Registry store. No. Yeah, maybe Docker registry cache. I don't remember what it was. Adjusting the droplet setup. Okay, here we go. Okay, interesting. Okay, so looks like I want a new concept. Right now I have a concept of a job machine, and it seems like I want the concept of a Docker registry cache or whatever. What the heck is this thing called? Registry store. I'm okay. What is this thing we're building called again? Registry cache, registry store, Docker registry cache. So I think we want the concept of a Docker registry cache machine. Docker registry cache machine request. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Based on job machine request, make me an object called Docker registry cache machine request. I can see why people aren't just building CI platforms left and right. It's not easy. Okay, so I'm gonna review this code. Use a base image that's optimized for Docker installations. Okay. Okay. I guess I'll give it a try. Docker registry cache machine request. Okay. It's almost time to wrap up here. Docker. Oh, and hang on a second. Region. Should put this in a config somewhere, but for now I'll hard code it. I hate it when ChatGPT makes the code more complicated than it needs to be. NYC1. Size. Whoops, I shouldn't have deleted that size. Okay. Now let's see what happens if we do this. R equals this dot new r dot create. Okay, it says a droplet was created. Okay, looks like it was created, or at least it's in the process of being created. So who knows if it's actually going to work, but at least this object was successful um, in creating a droplet. So I said that I usually like to leave a loose end hanging, so I know what to do next time. This is going to be my loose end here. I can look at this and be like, oh yeah, I was getting this Docker registry cache machine thing going. So that's what I'll do for next time. I am going to delete this because I'm not going to work on this anymore right now, and I don't want to pay for this droplet that I'm not going to use. So bear with me a second while I delete it. How the heck do I delete it? It's been so long that I don't remember. Destroy. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. This Code with Jason session might set the record for most boring session so far. So I apologize. But Connor, next time, so you still have my scheduling link, I presume, so you can use that link. And next time, maybe pick out an exercise we can go through. With one of my other mentees, we're doing some Advent of Code exercises. If you've ever seen Advent of Code, that might be a good one, or just anything you want. And we can go through that next time. And that way it can be a little more focused on you and maybe a little more down to earth and not this crazy CI caching business that I worked on today. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining me, and I'll see you next time.